Who are the best co-MVP teammates? Stick around and find out. What's up, everybody? We're back to back and better than ever. Alongside my primo hermano Luis, I'm Manny. What up, dog?
Manny, what's going on, man? It's good to be back here.
Let's talk about it, man. So, Major League Baseball is filled with superstars, man. There's just a truckload of these guys all over the place, and some of them happen to be. Baseball. It is. Some of them happen to be on the same team, Luis. So let's talk about who are the best co-MVP teammates out there, right? I could tell you right off the bat, like, just not using my fan brain or anything, but like one that comes to mind, for example, it's like Aaron Judge and Giancarlo Stanton, you know, or insert somebody else in there. Let's do Gleyber Torres, and can I interest you in a little maybe Luke Voigt or something like that? You get what I'm saying?
I think we could both agree that Aaron Judge has been on this, like, he's a great top 5 player leash for a little too long for a league that's just filled with so much talent. Does Aaron Judge meet that criteria anymore for a guy that's barely on the field?
Well, that's the thing.
I'm exaggerating. Clearly,
is that going to be a criteria here? We should establish that right off the bat. Is someone who is injury prone, are they eliminated from this list? Because then if they are, then we can't use Giancarlo Stanton and Aaron Judge, because for the past 2 years they haven't been on the field together as much.
Yeah, I wouldn't say that they're eliminated. I'm just saying, like, with that taking that into account, plus the talent that's currently in the league, I don't know if they even would make the list of like a top 5.
Are you kidding?
MVPs.
If they're healthy, they could combine for 100+ home runs. Maybe if you use like Judge and Cole. So I would extend this to pitchers as well. Okay. So newly acquired Francisco Lindor and Jacob deGrom is a good co-MVPs. Both of them have received MVP honors in the past. Did deGrom get an MVP award?
He had to. No, he never got an MVP award, but he had to at least get votes.
Okay, I got you. I see what you're saying.
That's MVP honors.
So you could do like a Justin Verlander and Jose Altuve, for example.
Well, man, you know, I don't know what Justin Verlander is. He was kind of falling off a little bit before he
won a Cy Young.
No, he won the Cy Young the year before, yes, but he was dealing with that injury. I mean, he's like 40. Like, we don't really know what he is, and Jose Altuve has not been himself since, you know, the incident. I don't know anybody that's watching this on our YouTube. I don't know anybody watching those YouTube channels. Some people got offended. We weren't bashing Jose Altuve in that video. We were just calling it as we see it.
Yeah, man, he's a good hitter. Can't take that away from him.
But no, I wouldn't say Jose Altuve and Justin Verlander. No, man. I'm thinking more along lines like Manny Machado and Fernando Tatis Jr. Could be up there.
All right, I feel like we're giving it away now. I think we should get to it, but before we get to it, as you're watching, make sure you hit that subscribe button if you're listening on the podcast, or if you're listening on YouTube or watching on YouTube, and leave us a comment. If I almost dropped my pen there, and leave us a comment with your favorite co-MVP candidates on the same team, and they have to be on the same team. So I'm gonna keep a list of what we're writing down here, CT or Luis, or whatever your name is at this point. I don't even know.
All right, man. I don't know either.
Luis Angel, Luis Angel, as we call him.
Let's go. Let's go.
Right. let's start, man. Where should we begin? Where do you want to start?
I think with these two guys on a team, you're a threat in whatever division you play in whatever era you play in. Doesn't matter. I'm going with Freddie Freeman and Ronald Acuna.
Wow.
And one thing is that we said it like a million times on this podcast, but Acuna he's just a natural 5-tool player. He can do it all. I think there has to be a stat for this, but someone that could hit home runs at the Apple Field. I think he's the guy. If you looked at his home run derby performance a couple years back. And even with that said, I think Freddie Freeman overall is a better offensive talent than Ronald Acuna, at least at this point in his career. And he is the one, you could correct me on this, but I think he won the MVP last year in the short 60-game season. He had COVID in the beginning, missed a couple games, whatever. But I think those two guys in a lineup on a team, that's my co-MVP going into the 2021 season.
That's a good one, man. And so I'm kind of surprised. I'm not gonna lie. I thought you were gonna go Machado, Tatis over in the NL West.
So real quick,
let's hear it.
I think the thing is with Tatis is that he kind of fell off a little bit towards the end of the season, and that was only his second season full, and it was a shortened season, so I don't really know what Tatis is gonna be. I'm pretty sure he's gonna be like an MVP, but even Machado, I mean, everybody was, looking at Machado as somewhat overrated until he put up these numbers in a shortened season. So I really don't know, like, if I think Freddie Freeman's proven. I think Ronald Acuna is clearly, like Mike Trout 2.0. If you think about it, like when it comes to being like a 5-tool player, I know Tatis is as well, but I'm gonna. That's why I didn't go with them.
Yeah, and so I'm kind of struggling with this a little bit because initially I did want to go Judge Stanton offensively.
Go for it, man.
I'm not going to, but I want to because the threat of those two, if they're healthy, I don't think there's another combination like that in Major League Baseball. And I get it. They both go on stretches where they're going to strike out for a month and they might hit 2 or 3 home runs for a month, but they could also go on stretches where they could both hit 20 home runs each in a month. You know what I mean? Like,
damn.
And that's just, I know that's a lot. Like that's Sammy Sosa on PEDs with a cork bat, circa 1999 or whatever. But just that threat to me is like, to me, it's probably one of the scariest threats in all of baseball. Just because of the type of power that they have. Like, give me Stanton in the postseason last year and Judge in 2017. And I don't think there's a combination in baseball like that. But I'm not going to pick them because they can't stay healthy. And I want to see what they can do on the same. Hopefully this year we get a full season of both of them together on the same team. But anyway.
But just to be clear, you can pick them.
I know I can. But then it's also like, oh, you're such a homer, Manny, blah, 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 and all this stuff. I'm not going to go there. So then I started thinking, should I go pitcher-hitter combo? And I was thinking Max Scherzer and Juan Soto.
Ooh.
But, right? But, by the way, Juan Soto, I think, is the best young player of the bunch. I think he's over Tatis, over Ronald Acuna, all that.
So do I.
Anyway, but Max Scherzer had a really down season last year. 3.74 ERA, a 1.381 whip. I vowed to myself that I wasn't going to throw out stats and stuff. So I'm not going to give you FIP because FIP. You know what I'm saying? I already cursed. Told myself I wasn't going to curse. But, no, I like FIP. I just... whatever. But yeah, anyway, the point I'm trying to make is that Scherzer had a down year last year. So I don't know what he's going to be moving forward. He's going to be 36 next year. I don't know what's going to happen. So I don't know if I feel comfortable with that. So I think I'm going to pick. I don't know who I'm going to pick, man. Mike Trout and Anthony Rendon. I don't know, man.
That's not a bad one.
That's not a bad one, but I don't want to pick them. I don't want to pick them either. I like your pick. I want to be like you, man, when I grow up. That's what I'm trying to say here.
We can agree on this podcast. That's the beauty. That is the beauty.
It's not fun though when you agree.
You still got deGrom and Lindor out there.
Nah,
Jose Ramirez and Bieber
fever. Yeah, that's a good one too. That's a really good one.
No?
You got your Elo Jimenez or and Lucas Giolito if you want or something like that.
I think you should go with Judge and Stanton, man. That's the one I could tell you reached deep down inside. You went beyond the homer biases, and that's not a bad one. I'm just saying, All
right, I'm picking. All right.
If you're telling me Judge and Stanton versus Freeman and Acuna, I'm taking Freeman and Acuna because I just think Freddie Freeman is just the better hitter out of both of them. And then you're throwing on top of that the next Mike Trout.
You pulled my arm. All right, I'm going Judge and Stanton. I'm going Judge and Stanton. Just again, man, they could just guys you don't want them to be healthy at the same time. Let me just say that real quick. I think Boston Red Sox fans would
No, actually, I
What?
do want them healthy at the same time because I want that to be ruled out as an excuse. Like they were both healthy, you guys still didn't get it done. Bam. Stop using
Anybody,
it.
any AL East team would have a serious case of the rears if these guys were healthy at the same time. That's all I'm saying, man. I don't know. No, but
Weren't
seriously,
2017, weren't they both healthy?
Stanton wasn't with the Yankees in 2017, and Stanton won the NL
Ah,
MVP award in 2017. So had they been teammates, it would have been like 100 and how many home runs did Stan hit that
50,
year? Like 59 or something.
57 off the top of my head. Manny, 52 from Judge. I know that. Are you sure that Stanton won that in 2017? Wasn't it 2016?
No, I'm looking it up right now. Giancarlo Stanton had 59 home runs, 132 RBI, and he was the MVP in 2017. And I remember it was 59 because he had 59 with like a few games to go. Like he could have
Yeah.
broken the record.
I think we made a
You
bet.
know,
I think we made a bet that year that whether he would hit 60 or not. It would have been
yeah,
cool if he hit 60, but I
it
kind of
would
had
have
a
been cool.
feeling.
And Aaron Judge, I think, hit 50 or 51 that year.
52.
52. So combined 111 home runs. Had they been on the same team, I mean, you want to face those guys back to back. I understand their strikeout, they could strike out a lot, all that stuff. There's a good chance that they come back to back. You might get two strikeouts in a row there. But there's also a chance that they'll go back to back. Huh? You like that?
Hey.
But no, seriously. You wouldn't be like, I'm not saying you're going to be afraid. I'm not saying it's Ortiz and Manny Ramirez back to back, or Gary Sheffield and Alex Rodriguez in the mid 2000s. But you wouldn't fear them if they were coming up to bat back to back. I
Yeah.
keep saying that.
No, yeah. I would, since I can't throw past 75, I would definitely fear them coming up back to back. But I'm sticking with what I originally said.
Okay, and I think that if we're sticking strictly to offensive ability, I think that if this were a competition, which is not, by the way, I think that I would win. But if we're talking about quality of player, Freddie Freeman, he is a first baseman, which whatever, first baseman. They're okay. But anyway, they and Aaron Judge is an elite outfielder, by the way.
And Stan is limited. He's a liability out there.
But Ronald Acuna is a center fielder, if I'm not mistaken. And
yeah, he also plays left field.
And he could run the bases. He was almost a 40-40 guy 2 years ago. So overall, you probably would get the win. Let's do what they do on YouTube. Leave us a comment. Who is the best co-MVP teammate tandem? Judge and Stanton, or Acuna and Freddie Freeman?
Or somebody else.
Or somebody else. What are some other combos out there that you can think of off the top of your head? I'm trying to look over here.
Combos off the top of my head. So we said Jose Ramirez and Beaver, deGrom, Alonso, or deGrom and Lindor, or Lindor and Alonso. Xander Bogaerts and Chris Sale. Let's go.
Okay. All right. Easy there.
I guess now you could say Blake Snell and, Machado, or Blake Snell and Tatis, or
Rendon and Trout is not a bad one, actually.
No, that's not bad. That's not bad at all. It's like Trout, man. He doesn't get the respect.
But the thing is his personality, man. Like it's not that it's a bad personality. It's just he's very, I'm not trying to be racist here, but he's very vanilla. You know what I mean? And Rendon is too, for that matter. Rendon went to the Angels because he basically said this last year. He didn't want the attention of being on a team like the Dodgers. So like, there's nothing wrong with that. I respect it, but they're just not fun. They're very good players, but they're not fun.
Speaking of the Dodgers, Mookie and Seager.
Ooh.
Mookie and Turner.
Turner might not be a Dodger. Turner's a free agent.
Ah.
Yeah, but Mookie, how about Mookie and Bellinger?
Mookie and Bellinger. Damn, man. That one Mookie, missed me.
Right? Or Mookie and Bueller, Mookie.
Mookie.
Mookie and Kershaw.
Yeah.
How about Philly?
Real Muto and Harper. If Real Muto stays with the Phillies or signs with the Phillies.
I was just thinking. I was trying to think of a combo in Philly. Who else does Philly have?
Oh man, they got.
I feel bad. I kind of feel
Aaron Nola.
I feel bad. I kind of feel bad for the people over in Philly, man. Because now that owner who said he was going to spend stupid money, suddenly he doesn't want to spend money at all. That he's floating around trades for Zach Wheeler.
It's got to be the impact of COVID.
I don't buy it.
Because you want to know why I think, and this is another topic. I don't know if you want to say this for another day, but the reason why I think it has to do something with COVID is because you don't just sign Bryce Harper and then throw Zach Wheeler on top of that and then acquire Didi Gregorius. I know he's not like a blockbuster, whatever.
Yeah.
But I don't think he was making all these moves thinking like, I changed my mind. Like, I'm going to let me see if I can get rid of this guy. Let me see if I can unload some money. So I think it does have something to do with what happened to the world.
And then they fire their GM and they hire Dombrowski. So, but it's like mixed messages. Like you're essentially saying you want to save money, but then you hire the GM who spends money. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Right? Doesn't he spend a lot of money? Wouldn't you say that? Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah.
That he puts teams in positions where they could win a World Series in the short term, but in the long term,
worth it.
But in the long term, he may or may not be screwing your organization for a long.
Do you see the hat that I'm wearing? Do you see the hat that I'm wearing? I want the Bills to put all the money they can in to get a Super Bowl, and whatever happens after that, we got a Super Bowl.
Here's all I'm gonna say: by the time people are listening to this, the Bills may or may not be in the playoffs anymore. So,
damn, bro.
The Rockies. I forgot about the Rockies. Arenado and Story. What about that 1-2 combo?
That's a good one. That's
a beast combo right there. And the Diamondbacks, Ketel Marte, and that's it essentially. All right, follow this guy down here on my screen. He's down here on your screen. If he makes a sound, he will pop up eventually.
Yes,
there he is. At Hova Mojo on Twitter. Follow me at MannyGo3 on Twitter, and make sure you subscribe, rate, review, all that jazz. Peace out.
So, born and raised in Venezuela, in Barquisimeto, and grew up, on the game of baseball. Started playing since I was 4 years old. Remember the days when my mom or dad will take me to the fields and just play baseball. That's a Latino. That's what we do, and growing up watching baseball players from Venezuela, it was kind of like inspired me, and then once I got older and, somewhere around 14, 15 years old, that's when you start hearing about the possibility to becoming of a baseball player, a professional baseball player. And I had that opportunity, in 1996, the San Francisco Giants came in and signed me. The scout from Puerto Rico, Luis Rosa, gave me an opportunity. And, very thankful, for that opportunity that I got back in the day, and spent about 8-9 years with the Giants, and then didn't work out, became a minor league free agent, went through some injuries and all that, and then I had to go and play independent ball for a couple of years, and that's how the Yankees signed me out of independent ball and gave me a second chance, if you want to call it. And then I played for the Yankees in the minor leagues for 2 to 3 years, and then all the way to 2009 when they gave me an opportunity to become a coach. So that's that.
Nice. So a little bit further about your younger life in Venezuela. We've talked to a lot of guys like Rodney. Played a lot of baseball as a young kid in San Pedro de Macorís. He had guys like what's his name? Former MVP in the 80s. I can't remember his name now, but he would come visit his father, Julio, El Capitan. And that would inspire him a lot. He'd see guys like that give to the kids in the community, and he wanted to do the same thing. Same thing with Tony Diaz. Plácido Polanco was a big inspiration for him. Was there anyone that inspired you as a kid that made you feel like you wanted to become a baseball player?
Yeah, I think growing up in Venezuela, obviously, Venezuela is known because of the shortstops, and when I was younger, obviously Omar Vizquel was one of those guys, that everybody was looking up to. And I always wanted to be somebody like Omar Vizquel, he winning Gold Glovers and all that. And then obviously during the Winter Bowl season, Luis Sojo, who's currently a manager in the Dominican Republic, he was kind of like the big man in my, my hometown in Barquisimeto. He used to play for Cardinals. And just watching those guys, they were kind of my heroes, to be honest with you. And then obviously that opportunity presented. But I remember going to the ballpark, watching those professional games and be like, wow, that's awesome. Hopefully one day I get that opportunity, and then when I had an opportunity to meet Luis Sojo, it was kind of like a dream come true. So guys like him, Omar Vizquel, Edgardo Alfonso, guys like that, it was, growing up back in Venezuela, you watch guys like that and,
Good. And at what age were you scouted and later signed by a major league organization?
Yeah, I signed when I was 16 years old, but the whole process started when, you went 14, 15, when you start hearing about tryouts. I never knew what was a tryout, and I remember my first one was with the Atlanta Braves. And, I didn't know I had to run a 60-yard. I didn't know like the arm and that. So, after that, it was kind of like an eye opening, and then I started preparing, and then that opportunity came when I was 16 years old, and the Giants gave me that opportunity.
Good. And then I know that from following you a bit, I know you had about a 12-year minor league career. Like your career is kind of broken exactly in half, like 12 as a coach, 12 as a baseball player, from what we could see on the record on Baseball Reference. What was your minor league career like? Like what was it like everybody has a story about how difficult it was in the beginning, the transition, and then finally getting comfortable. Tell us a little bit about your experience as a minor leaguer.
Yeah, I think every Latin player, goes through it. It's not easy, coming from Latin America and coming to the United States and not knowing the culture, not knowing the language. Like I thought I knew a little bit of English just from school, and my mom is an English teacher. And when I came over here, my first coach said something to me in instructional league, and I had no idea what he was saying. And it was tough. It was tough. As a 16-year-old, you're away from your family. There was no cell phones. There was, no internet. There was none of that, and it was hard to communicate with your family. And it's not easy. Like I say, you're adjusting to a new culture, new language. Everything is new for you. But that's what, as a Latin player, we go through. And obviously nowadays is so much better. But, I remember those days, a lot of phone calls, crying over the phone, my parents, and, but I let them know that I was sure that, that was the right decision, back in the day with, 16-year-old and just, here in a new country, not knowing anybody, it was hard, but I was surrounded with good coaches and that organization, I'm very thankful, for everything what they did to me. As a player, a lot of ups and downs, a lot of injuries. I was known because of my defense. I wasn't a good hitter, and that's what, it was so hard for me. But, like every player, they go through injuries and you go through the ups and downs and you learn from it. And, that was pretty much it. When I spent so many years with the Giants, I was just glove first type player, and then, like I said, I went and played independent ball, and then luckily the Yankees gave me a second chance, and here I am.
Cool. And so where the Giants are, their minor league organization, where are they located?
In Arizona. They're still in Arizona, in Scottsdale. And, it was a 3-hour difference compared to Venezuela, So not only that, but the times and all that. But like I say, they had a nice setup. They still have a nice setup there in Scottsdale and all that. But, it wasn't easy. It wasn't easy.
Okay. And your family stayed in Venezuela. Were you the first of your family to come to the United States?
No, mom and dad, we actually came over for vacation, 3 years prior, I think. It was like 2-week vacation.
Okay.
But, it was just that, a vacation, but, it was the first time for me as a professional and by myself.
Yeah.
When I first signed and I had to come to instructional league right after high school.
when you came for vacation, because that's, to me, my family's of the Dominican Republic. I'm wearing the DR hat from WBC. And I was born in New York, like every Dominican family, Dominican American, essentially, in Washington Heights, right across the bridge from Yankee Stadium, actually. And for me, going to vacation was going to DR and experiencing how my family grew up. And I spent a lot of time there. It's a second home to me, in my opinion. How was it for you coming here on vacation? Like, what would you do? Would you go to New York City? Did you go to Disney World? Like, what kinds of stuff did you guys do?
Yeah, we came to Miami. We knew some people here, and it made things easier as far as like where to stay and all that. And I think we came to Orlando, but we didn't go to every park because obviously it was expensive, you know.
Yeah.
You know, I think we went to a Miami Marlins game. I think that was 1991, 1993. I can't remember, you know, but that was one of the biggest story of that trip, you know, going to a big league ballpark and watching a big league game, you know. And I remember sitting on the upper deck, you know, because obviously that was the cheapest ticket, you know, and you're watching from far, and then. You know, it was kind of like, wow, what it would be to be on a big league field as a player. I mean, I never thought about it as a coach, you know, because you always want to be you're always dreaming about becoming a big league player. But that was a pretty neat story, and that was pretty much the whole story of the trip, if you want to call it. You know, it was about a week, and you know, we were in Miami. Obviously, a lot of people there speak Spanish, and you know, the language barrier wasn't that hard. Obviously, we were able to communicate with people and all that, but it was eye opening just to see a different country. You know, obviously, growing up in Venezuela and then coming to the States for 10 days, it was eye opening. You know, so
Miami's a lot like I went to Miami recently, and it's like a good transition into the United States. Like it's not like the rest of the United States, but it's also not like the rest of the world. It's like its own little country, kind of.
Right.
Your family, so your mom and dad, were they supportive of your baseball career, or were they a little bit concerned? How did they take that when you told them you wanted to be a baseball player?
Yeah, it wasn't easy, especially with my mom. You know, my mom retired, obviously, English teacher in high school. My dad, mechanical engineer, and they always wanted me to go to school. You know, that was my mom's biggest thing. Like, you need to go to college, you need to go to school. You know, and then when they thought that I was for real, wanting to become a baseball player, that's when I kind of hit them. But even when at time, my mom always wanted me to have a scholarship too. So I had that, you know, in the back of my pocket. So she would always tell me that I needed to go back to school, Obviously, I finished high school, and then the opportunity presented, and I became a ball player. But even after that, every time I went home in the off season, she wanted me to go to and do something and get some type of education. But, you know, as a player, you just want to play. And then obviously there was a winnable. And so that was my off season. There was never an off season. It was back to playing baseball in your country. And, you know, that was the biggest takeaway from my parents. Obviously, they were very supportive. I mean, you know, they took me to the stadiums, you know, every year, every day, practice, games, and you know, even when I became a ball player, you know, they were there for me. So very thankful for that.
Did you ever go back to school, like later on in life, or is that
I did
something
not.
that no? Okay.
I did not. Once I became professional baseball player, like I say, it was, you know, 24/7, 365. You either play here in the States or you know, I went back to Venezuela and played winnable there or instructionally here. So there was never enough time for me. And you know, and till this day, my mom keeps telling me, you need to go back to school.
So do you have any children or anything?
I got wife. She's from Venezuela, Francis, and 2 kids, Adrian and Andres. You know, 9-year-old and 6 years old. Obviously, we live here in Tampa now in the States, so we've been living here for 10 years now. So,
do they have any interest in the game of baseball?
Oh yeah, so right now that's what I'm doing. You know, they play travel baseball, and you know, those are my weekends. You know, Saturdays and Sundays are, you know, it's fun. You know, and again, just like my parents did it with me, I'm trying to do it with them. But the biggest thing is that they have fun, and you know, they're doing the school and all that, but at the same time, it's some type of distraction, some type of sports now.
So are you of your mother's philosophy? Do you want to push education first, or are you trying to just foster whatever they want to go for? You're going to push them in that direction?
Yeah, obviously education first, you know, like especially, you know, after being in this game for so many years, it's not easy, you know. people think that everybody, you become a baseball player and then you're going to be playing in the big leagues a couple of years later, and that's not the case. So for me, education comes first, but again, I'm going to support them all the way in their life, and as much as I can, me and my wife, and obviously, they'll make their decision, but we'll guide them and make sure that they make that what's best for them.
Okay. Is your family still in Venezuela? Your mom and dad?
Yep, everybody's back home. It's just like I said, me, my wife, and the 2 kids here. But everybody else is in Venezuela, and it's hard. It's hard because we haven't been there in a few years, and it's difficult. The situation that that they're living there, but it's part of life and part of what we're dealing with, and it's tough.
Yeah. Okay, so tell me about your coaching career. You started coaching in the Yankees organization, you said, in 2009. You from what I've seen, you coached the Charleston River Dogs, you managed the Gulf Coast League Yankees, you managed the Charleston River Dogs, managed the Scottsdale Scorpions in 2012 and 2016. Tell me a little bit about your philosophy as a manager. What kind of a manager are you?
Yeah, it wasn't an easy decision. I go back to my early years as a coach. When you have to make that decision that your career is over as a player, but you're about to start a new career in baseball. It wasn't easy, but again, I had the support from my family, my wife at the time. We were just got married, and she was very supportive. Started, like you said, as a coach in Staten Island, a short season as a fourth coach, working with infielders, base running, a little bit of everything, just kind of helping the manager and the coaches there. And then I did the same thing in 2009 as a fourth coach in Charleston. And then the organization gave me an opportunity to manage our Gulf Coast team in 2011, then in Charleston, then the Fall League, and then I became a coordinator. My philosophy. That's a good question, because when you're managing in the minor leagues, it's all about development, and making sure that you're following the protocols, that you're developing players. Developing comes first instead of winning. And there's there's guidelines, there's player plans. That's your goal. Your goal is to prepare players for the next level and to teach them how to play the game the right way, and and get them ready to play not only to the next level but championship level at the big league.
Right.
So that was pretty much our philosophy, managing in the minor leagues. But I think the biggest thing is the communication. As a manager, you got to be able to communicate, and you got to be able to connect with your players, making sure that you're spending time to get to know them as persons, because when they know that you care about them as people, that's how you get the trust, and once you get the trust from your players, it's easier to connect, and it's easy to get them to where they want to be, so that's pretty much my philosophy: communication, trust, getting to know your people as persons. So
yeah. Especially in the Yankee organization, it seems like that player development is a really big part of their philosophy of late. Do you feel as managers, it seems to a lot of fans out there that a manager's job, it has been kind of lessened a little bit with the increase in analytics, that it seems like the analytics department is making more decisions and the general manager is making more decisions. How true is that? Has that shifted at all over the last decade or so?
Well, yeah, because obviously there's a lot more information, but at the end of the day, you got to be able to connect with the players and the people you're dealing with on a daily basis. You still got to watch the game. You still got to, obviously you get all that information and you prepare. All that information is great to prepare for the game, but then you have to make adjustments, as the game goes on, So it's different because, like I said, there's a lot more information than what it was 5 years ago, 10 years ago, But that doesn't mean that you still got to watch the game, and you still got to be able to make adjustments, and all that information helps make wise decision in what you feel is best for the team and for the organization at that time. At the end of the day, you're trying to put players in the best position so they can have success, and all this information helps. So I go back to, you got to watch the game, you got to be able to make adjustments.
Yeah. And you as a bench coach, you were named bench coach of the Yankees this season. So you're essentially the right-hand man to Aaron Boone. How much of the decision making that goes on in a baseball game do you discuss with Aaron Boone? Is there a discussion with you guys? Do you guys decide together, or is it more him running the ship and then you stepping in if anything happens?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of conversations. There's a lot of meetings that happens before the game in preparation with all the information. And again, once the game start, he'll ask opinions. He wants you to have an opinion, and then at the end of the day, he's going to make the final call. And that's why you got to be prepared. You got to be ready and making sure that you're giving him wise advice so he can make what we feel is a really good decision. So Boone is great. I think I've been very lucky to have a manager like him, and that I've known him for the past 3 years, even before I became a bench coach as a quality control coach. I knew what he liked and the way he worked. So it was an easier transition for me. But he's going to ask people's opinion, and at the end of the day, he's going to make the final call.
Yeah. And then, so you're clearly Spanish-speaking Latino. There's a lot of Latinos on the Yankees. You have Miguel Andujar. You have Deivi Garcia, who came out this season, looks really good. Gary Sanchez, and so on and so forth. Is it your job to kind of communicate with those players, or like, are you just translating, or are you communicating with them directly on a daily basis?
Yeah, that's, I'm not only translating, I'm communicating with them and the whole team, the American players and the Latin players, because, as a bench coach, you have to have that relationship. You got to make sure that you know what's going on in the clubhouse. And if there's something that needs to be addressed, I'll do it myself just to take some off Boone's plate, because he's got so much. So part of a bench coach is take as much as I can from his plate, and that's one of them, the communication with the players, not only the Latin players, but the American players as well. But I think coming through the system and having that relationship with the players, a prior relationship, it helps big time. Like I had Andujar, it's in the minor league. I had Gary Sanchez. I managed all of those guys. Gleyber Torres when we traded him, So Deivi Garcia, obviously I didn't know him that well, but I had an opportunity to meet him in the spring training. So like, a lot of our players, like I had them in the minor leagues, Aaron Judge, all of them. So it was easier for me when I became a big league coach to have that relationship with the players and that trust from them.
Okay. So one of the biggest moments this previous postseason was the decision for the Yankees to use Deivi Garcia as an opener. I think it was Game 3 of the ALDS with the Tampa. Game 2 of the ALDS. How did he take that? I'm assuming that you were involved in some capacity in that the decision making to make that happen. Was Deivi Garcia on board for that? Was he gung ho? Like, was there ever a possibility that you guys would just let him go 5 innings, see what happens, or was that the plan all along?
Yeah, I don't think that was in the table. Obviously there was a lot of conversations, a lot of meetings, and all that. Like I said, there's a lot of discussions, going into the final call, which was the manager's call at the end of the day. People think about it was a front office. I don't. It was obviously we were there, but again, the information was presented to us, and we were all on board. And Deivi took it well too. Like Davi's a guy that is going to take the ball and just. I'm going to take the ball and I'm going to give you everything I got. And that was the case that day, and I think he had a long inning on the first inning.
Yeah.
And that's why Boone obviously made the decision that he made. But Deivi gave up only a homer or something. I think it was to Arozarena. But he ended up throwing almost 30 pitches on the first inning,
Yeah. So,
there was a plan. But at the end of the day, Boone adjusted it and made the decision.
Yeah. So how much of a influence do the Latinos have inside of that clubhouse? Are they a big part? Like I think of teams like the Red Sox in 2004. Guys like Manny Ramirez and David Ortiz were the heart and soul of that organization. What's the influence of the Latino players and the Latino coaches inside of that clubhouse?
He's big, man. He's huge. That's part of our culture too. And I think we're so open-minded in that clubhouse. But yeah, I mean, when you look around that clubhouse, you got Roldis Chapman. You have a Gleyber Torres. You have a Gary Sanchez. You have a Gio Urshela. You got an Andujar. There's obviously you have a Garrett Cole, Aaron Judge, but it's a little bit of everything. You walk through that clubhouse and there's Latin music playing, and then you come back 2 hours later, an hour later, and there's American music playing. There's a great culture that we have in that clubhouse. Guys get along well. There's relationship, there's trust, and it's fun to be a part of.
Good. And so future-wise, obviously you took a couple of interviews with the Boston Red Sox. They ended up going with Alex Cora, and in the end of the day, obviously your plan is to, if there's an opening out there for a manager, you'd be interested to take that kind of position, right? Is that your ultimate goal in Major League Baseball, to become a manager?
Yeah, definitely. Obviously, once you get to this position, you're always looking what's next, and as a bench coach of the New York Yankees, I think, hopefully an opportunity presents and we'll embrace it, But right now, my goal is to help the New York Yankees win a World Series, and help our players reach that goal, So, yeah, obviously that's the ultimate goal, But right now, my focus is on winning a championship for the New York Yankees.
Yeah. Is there something that I didn't ask you that you want to make sure people know about you, or that you want to make sure comes across in your feature piece? Because this is ultimately, it's going to be a story on Carlos Mendoza, who you are, who Carlos Mendoza is.
I think that nothing comes easy, in life, and then you have to fight. You have to work hard to reach your dreams and to reach your goals, and it wasn't easy. People think that Carlos Mendoza, I don't know where he came over here and now he's a bench coach of the New York Yankees. That wasn't the case, I played in the minor leagues for a long, long time. I went through some ups and downs. I know what it feels like coming from a different country and learning a new language, learning a new culture, and being knocked down so many times and being able to get back up, and a point to I had to go and play independent ball, and who would have thought that a guy that was playing independent ball now is going to be the bench coach and looking to become the next big league manager. It's just like in life, nothing is easy. So that's the biggest thing that I take with me, that, you have to keep fighting, and you have to be able to get back up even when things are not going your way. And it's the same in life, and the Carlos Mendoza is here where he's at right now because obviously the hard work and be responsible, being honest, at the end of the day, there's always somebody watching. So,
yeah. I think we're lucky to have you, and the Yankees. Óyeme a mí de que we, like as if I'm a Yankee player or something. I think the Yankees are lucky to have you as a bench coach. I think that the organization hit a home run when they brought you in as a coach. I think you've developed into an incredible person in that bench and in that clubhouse. And I hope to see you, reach great heights in the future. I wanted to ask you one last thing, because I saw you, it seemed to me like you were getting a little bit emotional when you were talking about your mom and dad. The situation in Venezuela right now, are they safe? Like, is everything okay with them in Venezuela?
Yeah, thank God, they're safe, but it's not easy, because obviously being away from them, I'm very, very close with my parents, and not being able to see them, as much as I like, is hard. It's hard. Obviously, the pandemic now shut down everything in our country, and it's not easy to get out of the country, and I wish, I wish my parents were here even though there was no fans on the stands for the playoffs, because that's something that my dad has been, and my mom, I've been able to do the past couple of years, been able to go to the stadium and watch playoff games and all that. And it's more than a year now that was the last time I saw them. So it's hard, but again, we got to move on, and we got to continue to move forward, and hopefully I'll get to see them again.
Bueno, si Dios quiere, the vaccine comes through y pronto se juntan otra vez.
Yeah, amen. We're praying.
On to 2021, bring home the World Series, all right?
There you go. Yeah, that's the goal. That's what we're working on right now. So,
all right. Thank you so much, Carlos.
All right, thanks,
thank you. Mucho gusto.
Good luck.
Bye-bye.